Hi everyone, this is Bruce with the Bowski Studio. In today's video, I'm going to be covering some artists and some subjects that have inspired me through my artistic journey over the years, and I think you'll find it quite interesting. I'm always kind of myself fascinated by other artists' lives, and we have our own trials in life and that sort of thing, and you always think no one else has suffered the same thing, and so it's always interesting to read bios and get a different perspective on other artists and how they approach their work through adversity and even when times were going great. So that's what this video is about, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining me. And to all the new subscribers, thanks for signing on. And to everyone else that's been here since the beginning, I appreciate it. Okay, so I started painting in oil in 1993. Prior to that, I was doing watercolor. And before that, I was experimenting with pastel, colored pencil, that sort of thing. But once I started in oil, there was no turning back. That is my medium of choice, and I just love it. And the artists I'm going to show you some within the top 10 of my artists that have inspired me the most, I should say, are coming up right now. I'll try to make sense of everything in the video editing process, but probably, as you know, artists can jump around quite a bit, and I don't mean to. I'm just very enthusiastic about what I'm going to be sharing with you today, and I hope it helps you on your artistic journey. So after I started in oil, the artists that I'm going to present right now are kind of pretty much in order for the first few here on how things progressed with my oil painting. And one of the very first painters that I really enjoy is Winslow Homer's paintings. And what I like about his paintings were that they were so aggressive and so textural, and the editing process used in terms of his brushwork was very astute. And so I'm just going to try to bring this book up a little bit. Let it pan for a second, catch up with focusing. And he was a beginning sort of thing that really got me on my way to working with oil, and very inspiring. Now, of course, the next painter, my all-time favorite, Edward Hopper. Now, what I love about his work is the simplicity of what can be complex subjects. He did a lot of architectural subject matter, and also, if you read a couple bios by him, by Gail Levin, very good biographer, the psychology of his paintings is very fascinating to me, and the loneliness in the paintings. And so he is really up there at the top of the pile, so to speak, of artists that have inspired me. And what I like about him is he stuck to his vision through the years when all of his equals in art school at the time were moving on, becoming successful. And some of those painters are very obscure today. And he's gone on to be pretty well known. And because he stuck to his vision. He had a vision and he stuck to it. And that's what I admire about Edward Hopper. Now, of course, and it's not because I'm in Maine, and this is just one of the books I have on it, but Andrew Wyeth, his paintings are just so psychological, and the execution of his vision is very profound, and the simplicity of how he presents his ideas, and just very, very, and his palette. Some people, they go for the garish, very colorful type things, and I feel for his palette. I really enjoy the earthiness and that sort of thing. So Andrew Wyeth, good one. A contemporary, he's passed away now, but John Register. He did some paintings of diners and just lonely kind of desert locales. He's a California painter, and I'll pan to a little bit later in the video. I'll go through some of the pages of the book to show you some key examples of the artist's work. And yeah, John Register, very, very good painter. And really had a vision also. Then we have Fairfield Porter. I love his work also, the painterliness of his subjects, the way he simplified his forms and still came across with that painterly realism. Also a very good read, this book. Not sure who the author is. It's put out by Abrams Spike. I think that might be the writer's last name. I'm not sure. So that, you'll see other books here all, from the video. There's a lot of inspiration of artists I've read about, but those are in the top 10 for sure. And check them out when you get a chance if you haven't heard of them before, especially like John Register. Fairfield Porter, people, I'm sure have heard of him. Okay, I've opened the books here of the artists that have inspired me quite a lot. And of course in the back here, I'll zoom in a little bit, we have a little sample of Winslow Homer's paintings. Everyone has probably seen those, but again, the brushwork in person is pretty amazing. And over here is the John Register painter, the California artist I was telling you about. And this has really inspired my building paintings and interiors. And then we have Hopper's painting, Early Sunday Morning. That really inspired me quite a bit. And then a sample of Fairfield Porter's painting style. Very almost poster-like. And I really enjoy that too. And just a nice little sampling there to give you some idea of what has informed my work. Another artist that has been a great inspiration is the artist Richard Diebenkorn. I believe they call him a California Bay Area painter. And his work is very, very interesting. It's like a painter's painting, and the division of space is just superb. Paint application, a lot of inspiration out of here, even though it's nothing like I paint. I look at little areas of the reproductions and the texture and the paint and that sort of thing. I would love to see one in person. I think it would be pretty awesome. Some nice little interiors and still life. Just incredible painter. So I get these are what really inspired me right here, these type of works of his for dividing up the space of my canvases. So very, very interesting. You should check them out. Now as for a contemporary type of material that inspires me is at my local bookstore. I buy this Plein Air magazine quite a bit, and it has some really great articles in there and tips on plein air painting, and I buy that all the time, as you can see, my whole little collection. And American Art Review, and also we have American Art Collector, little tidbits on artists up and coming in the gallery scene and art world. And then, of course, the Artist Magazine. A lot of nice tips, and in the back they have shows you can enter also. Now, over here, of course, we're back at the books. And I'm going to go through a couple more artists, kind of randomly, no particular order, that have also kind of informed my work. De Kooning. Who would think, me being a kind of a realist painting, but his structure in his paintings and the paint application, pretty amazing. I find some interest in that. And then we have my Cezanne book. Really like his work quite a bit too. The way he builds the painting. Then who do we have over here? Lois Dodd. Main painter there. Really like her work. Let's take that one out a little bit. She kind of reminds me a little bit of Fairfield Porter a little bit in the style. but you can kind of see, try to get some plates here, or woods scenes. Just very loose and painterly. So Lois Dodd, check her out. Very, very good. Put that back. Then some interesting Winston Churchill book. I didn't know he was a painter until I saw that at Barnes & Noble. And of course you got Sargent. That's a no-brainer there. Another painter I like is Alan McGee. He does these very realistic paintings. Also does textiles, I believe. Paintings of wrenches and sculptures, and pretty cool painter too. I'm not sure if this one's going to have some of his wrenches type thing. Oh, there you go, machinery parts. He's really inspired me. I still have an idea that I want to do for some still life painting associated with that. Not going to give it away. I'll do a video on it, so you'll have to wait. So that's my little Habowski Studio library. And yeah, lots of good reads in there. So I hope you enjoyed that part. Now we're going to go over some quotes that I found inspiring. Now I'd like to cover some of the quotes that and sayings that I have found inspirational, and I kind of keep handy to refer to once in a while. And got my little cheat sheets here, but some of the quotes, and I'll try to what it means to me a little bit. I don't want to go on and bore you to death, but we'll start with a couple quotes here. And one of them is, "Do that which you think you cannot," by Eleanor Roosevelt. Now I find that a very good quote, because one of the dangers in anything is, in your job, or for us, I'll speak in our terms because we're painters, is I want to approach, when I paint something, I want to be afraid every time I paint it that I may not be able to pull it off. Do I want to recreate the wheel every time I start a painting? No, but if I get like maybe 75%, yeah, I kind of know where this is going because I planned ahead, I did my composition, but I want to allow some room for discovery. I want to get into some danger zones, I call them, where I'm not sure if I can handle this, and try it, because you're not ever going to be able to handle it if you don't ever have some failures, because in my opinion, failure is knowledge in disguise. So keep that in mind. Okay, the next one. "Technical achievement without vision is only craft." Carol Katchen. And that, how many times have we been in a gallery or art festival show, that sort of venue, and we see work and we go, wow, look at that. Every little, say it's a bird portrait, every little feather is all detailed out, and the detail's just amazing. You get right in there. And then you see some other painting that's a little, maybe a touch crude in terms of execution, but there's a painterliness to it maybe, or there's an emotion because of the palette they chose to use. It can be various different things, but that idea. And for some reason you're drawn to that painting more. It has something, a spark to it. And I think a really good painting combines your mastery, being a master of your technique, and then applying that and editing what you can do with your vision. Like, you can put in every little tree branch, or say it's a suspenseful kind of landscapey scene with a figure in it, and it's kind of foggy and looks like a storm's a brewing, and the psychological bent on it is maybe has to do with loss and death or something, as an example. Would you want to detail out all the mid foreground, like tree branches? Maybe there's no leaves on the trees, or do you want to kind of ghost them into the background a bit so there's an air of mystery to the painting? You see, you got to think like that as we're building our paintings. So that's why I find that quote interesting. Now the next one. fear has no place in painting. Pretty obvious. And to an extent in life in general. But with painting, you know, there's nothing to risk really other than, say, a piece of canvas, or if you're working on a big canvas or something. But you can always wipe the paint off if what you're trying to do doesn't work. Like when you're starting a painting and it's not quite right, wipe it out. But it's kind of the old-fashioned, well, I wouldn't call it old-fashioned, it's kind of new, but go big or go home, you know. Does every painting need to wow somebody and have bright garish colors that attract attention? No, I've seen the smallest paintings, beautiful paintings, really kind of capture my attention. So there's that. Now the next little saying from Mark Rothko. The progression of a painter's work as it travels in time from point to point will be towards clarity, toward the elimination of all obstacles between the painter and the idea, and between the idea and the observer. Again, Mark Rothko. That is pretty powerful stuff right there. It really makes you think when you're painting a painting, and you know, maybe you start out, you're working from a photo or outdoors, and you start putting all this information in there because it's there. But you got to really think about what is the painting trying to say, and eliminate anything that doesn't play into that. You know, it's almost like watching a movie and everybody has a starring role, and you can't focus on anybody because everyone's trying to say a line. You need to really condense down your idea and try to think of it almost like when you're painting and you're painting a shape, and you challenge yourself, how few strokes can I suggest this item if you're trying to create painterly painting. Same idea with the idea behind a painting. How many things do I need in there to crystallize that idea? So those are some quotes that I want you to kind of think about, and just wanted to share them with you. So to finish up this video, pretty much I wanted to express to you what has inspired me, so that maybe may help you in your artistic journey. And it's interesting when I've read some parts in a bio, or I've read a bio, or read a quote, and I've actually, when I'm painting and you know, I come to a difficult part in the painting, I'll actually go, what would Hopper do? What would Diebenkorn do with this area? Or how can I simplify this? And I think about paintings by John Register, or, you know, not all the time. I mean, they're just not running through my head like a film all the time, but they're there to help me out. And I'm not alone. And kind of standing on the shoulders of them, but yet developing my own vision. And because I don't look to emulate them exactly, that's not the point. I'm extracting elements from this artist, that artist, this artist, that feed into my vision of what I want my paintings to look like. Because I don't think anyone is, there's a lot of people in the world, and I don't think, oh, my vision's the only one out there. I mean, there's a connection to artists of the past, a kindred soul. So that's how I like to I feel embraced by them from the past as I paint, and it really helps me along in continuing the journey. And I hope it does for you too when you find your own inspirations. Thanks a lot for joining me, and share this with other artists if you think they'll find it useful, and I hope it helped you. Take care.